as a person that has been with Richland for 11 years, right?
Yep. Going on 12.
What are some of the best things that when you see a kid in campus, or you see a student worker, you see a student helper, what are some things that make a kid stand out to you when you see them once they've arrived on campus?
Well, once being involved and well, going back, like I said, I used to recruit for an employer here in town. I would go to college as a recruit. And so, they walk up to our career fair, right? And they hand us a resume. Well, as soon as you walk away, I'm either putting a check mark on it, I'm going to look at this closer and call you, or it goes in my note pile, right? And it's going to based on the good thing about a job fair is we get a little bit of interaction. Whereas, you submitting a piece of paper online through an applicant system, I don't get to put, so you get a chance to sell yourself at a job fair. So same thing when you talk about the students on our campus, that personality. I used to get onto our students when they were using, and I understand I was in college, I did stupid things. But I also knew when I might need to tone it down when I see a certain group of people on campus. If I saw enough business suits walking around, hey, I probably don't need to be dropping some of the words I'm dropping, because you never know who's there. And I used to tell our students that when I was in career services, I'd walk by what I call our bird nest, where a lot of students hang out. And, I'd say, hey, tone it down, because I've got, ADM coming today or whatever, right? Because, if you're dropping F-bombs and all this, having fun, right? We know high school, college, I mean, I tell you to have fun, but you also got to know the limits. And that's the same thing, again, when we talk about verbiage, when you're writing your resume, Matt, I know you didn't ask this, but I want to get into it because it's important about the vocabulary, because I'm from the South. I have a poor vocabulary. My vocabulary is like not much more than a parrot. And so I have to use my cheat sheet of going out and finding good synonyms for words, because I'll tell you one resume I remember reviewing when I was in career services. A young lady was an early childhood educator, and she was putting together a resume, and it said, something like dealt with children. If you had your resume and you turned it into Warrensburg and said you dealt with this class, right? That's not what they want. You educated these students, you managed the classroom of 60 students, whatever, right? So again, one word changes that whole bullet point. And so again, I know you didn't ask that, but I want to make sure that we understand that the vocabulary, look for synonyms, don't keep the same one going every time either, right? Managed.
Well, that brings up a good point, because you said some things don't keep the same. So you want to make sure, hey, I've managed this, I attended this, I led this. They're active words. These are things that even though you may not have an official, especially when you're trying to make this much job experience look like this much job experience, get those active words out there. Led this many people, directed this thing here, provided, assisted, things like that. And those, you want to keep that variety. On the other hand, let's talk about what you do want to keep consistent. Your headings, your fonts, a couple of things. What besides that would you want to keep consistent in a resume?
Well, the spacing, I'm not one of the sticklers that says your resume has to be one page. Now, I think every person that we're talking to today, probably a one page resume is sufficient. Mine is 2 pages now. I've never gone to 3. Just like yourself, I'm sure we mentioned earlier, right? Things get pushed off, right? My high school stuff is not important anymore. Very little of my college stuff is even that important, versus, more than, other than I graduated, they don't care that I was in a fraternity and all that. And so a lot of that stuff goes away. But the consistency piece you're saying is, the same. If you use this type of bullet point, keep using that same bullet point. We don't need any colors and pictures and all that good stuff. I've heard where maybe some marketing resumes possibly spice it up, or advertising resumes.
But that's applicable to the position again. That goes back to, does this piece of material speak to what you're applying for? Resumes. Is there one last thing that every kid needs to know about their resume?
Well, again, it has to be error-free, but you triggered when we were talking about this consistency. I also say make it easy on the eyes, because you can cram a bunch of words if you're not using appropriate spacing and bullets, italics, underline, but you want it, again, consistency. So if I start out with my date is, let's say I worked at Richland Community College, right? I worked at Richland Community College, and I had comma, this job title, and then comma, these dates. And I do it, spell it out, January, all the way January, such and such to March, such and such. the next line should be the same. So if I italicize my job title for the next one, I want to italic. So that way it's easy on my eyes, the spacing, again, the bullets, the dates. We wouldn't do FEB period for February on this line if we spelled out January on this line. It's just got to, it's a formal document. They're actually easy to do. Once you have one, you just go update it. You build it once, you have to put a lot of work and thought into this one time, and then you can just update it and tweak it, and it gets easier and easier, actually.
Well, and that's a good point, because for young people, you're going to have a lot of white space on that paper. White space is not all a bad thing. Space things appropriately, easy to read, so that when that fella that you hand it to, or that lady that you hand it to, looks at it, they go, oh, this is generally pleasant. I don't mind reading these bullets. It's not a block of text that you go, man, no. And it goes over in that circular file. So use your white space, but don't just space it out to make sure you hit the whole page. Put what you have, be honest, be accurate, be careful, be consistent.
Yep.
John, thank you so much. And of course, I'm sure you'd love to see some of our folks out there at Richland, because whether it is you're getting classes while you're still in high school, whether it's you're getting classes after high school, or in your area where you may have a job and you're retraining for something else. So thank you, John, so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Matt. And I want to see them all out here, not some.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
See you.